99, I'm 98, I'm 95, I'm 90, that means you're pulling from me, you're not adding any value, then I quickly walk out the door. There's no need, I can do 100 by myself. So if I'm getting less than 100, there's no reason for you to be here in my life. You're detracting from me than adding value.
Question everything. Thoughts, beliefs, habits. Then decide.
Hey everyone! It is time for Question Everything with Juicy.
Juicy.
And I'm the old man. And today we're exploring the way you think, what you think, and should you still think that way, at least for you. And today's topic, relationships. Relationships. Stop thinking that you need a relationship to be happy. Are you happy?
I am happy, and I'm single.
So you don't need a relationship.
But I probably could be happier. I definitely think I could probably be happier.
I have heard that people that are in relationships, at least good relationships, live longer.
Okay.
And actually have a greater happiness quotient. So I don't know, maybe you would be.
There may be a little something to that. I will say this. I think as individuals, we can find our happiness within ourselves, right? I think that's probably what he's leaning towards. Or you can find it in money and other things. But I think there's another level of happiness that you obtain when you truly find someone that you want to be with and want to spend time with. Not just in a random relationship, just to be in one, but one that's actually adding value to your life. I think those are two different types of things.
Adding value. Now, I've been married 2 times.
Okay. Oh.
I was married in my 20s
Okay.
to a woman, married in my 40s to a man. I am also single and unattached right now.
Okay.
In the dating world and trying a whole bunch of things from situationships to actually going on dates. We'll talk about that maybe a little later. If you're in a situationship, please let me know about it. Tell me how it's going, because I'm not sure about situationships.
We could talk about that next. I'm really good at those.
Oh, you're good at
It's very good at navigating those.
Well, have you been in a long-term one-on-one relationship?
Well, let me ask you this before we jump.
All right.
So you've been married twice.
I have.
Do you feel like, why did you get married both times? Let's ask that.
Well, I was in love.
Both times?
Well, I was in love both times.
Okay.
But the reason for getting married the first time was I was in love and I thought that's what you were supposed to do.
Okay.
I was 22. First real, I would say, strong type love.
Okay.
Parents were against it, which kind of made it more alluring. So
Of course.
if you're against your kids' relationships, maybe not let them know quite as vehemently, because kids like to do things just because their parents tell them not to do them.
Especially in their 20s.
Exactly. So, I use the example. My parents were married in their 20s, they had kids. That was just what you did.
Okay.
I'm almost 60, so that was close to 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Things have changed a little bit. But that's the first time.
Okay.
The second time, even though I was in my 40s, I still kind of thought that was the mold, that was the model. You meet someone, you're getting along, you begin to cohabitate, you get married. It's just the steps that it goes. Since then, though, and that relationship ended, I've come to think a little bit different.
What differently do you think about?
That I don't need, with another person, the one-on-one, living together, cohabitating,
Okay.
being in the same house all the day, every day. Now, in my case, I'm raising 2 kids, so that might be one of the barriers as well. But I also like my me time and my ability to, if I want to get in the car and go for a long drive without having to answer to anybody, I like that too.
Yeah, the options.
I don't like the options. We'll get into options.
We'll talk about options because options is a different. But let me ask you this now. So the 2 relationships. So you divorced from both of them. Looking back on them now, do you feel like each one of those individually added value to your life, the time that you were in love with them and when you were with them?
It met, especially at the beginning, the expectations that I had. Now, my choice in those particular partners at the time made sense, but I wasn't really using appropriate selective criteria that I would use now in learning, because I know myself. And when I was in my 20s and even in my late 30s, early 40s, I didn't really know what would make me happy. It was kind of like the basis of that comment is you don't need a relationship to be happy. Yeah, happiness comes from inside, and for me, that I've came to think about and how I've changed
Okay.
is I learned to be happy by myself. Hopefully, I'll find someone who is also happy with themselves. And together, our joint happiness will be more than the sum of its parts.
And that is when I think about relationships, that is exactly what I seek.
Yeah.
And so I've typically been coined the person that is, I would say I don't last too long in relationships. And it's not because I don't feel like I personally don't last long. I think it's because I see if the sum of our two parts are not equaling to greater of our individual, then what are we doing? So if I'm bringing in 100%, you're attempting to bring in 100%. But as the longer we're together, I start to then slightly go down. I'm 99, I'm 98, I'm 95, I'm 90. That means you're pulling from me. You're not adding any value. Then I quickly walk out the door. There's no need. I can do 100 by myself. So if I'm getting less than 100, there's no reason for you to be here in my life. You're detracting from me than adding value. And so typically in those situations, I walk away. Do people feel like I may walk away too quickly? That's a question.
How much time are you giving before
But
that
I just never feel like I should ever drop below 100. Even if you're not adding anything to my life, you should not be taken away. I should if I was here by myself and I was at 100, you walk up and you're standing next to me, I should stay at 100. I should go to 101. I should go to 102. The moment I go 99, to me, there's no reason for that. You're taken away from me, and I can like I said, I can do 100 by myself. So just leave me at 100. I'll go back to being single.
We're going to definitely talk about that again when we do more relationship questions.
Let's talk about it.
But right now, I want to talk about not just interpersonal relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because relationships also have to do with parental or maybe even work relationships. So I want to talk about parental type relationships.
Okay.
Parents and children. I've got two. I've been a child. My parents, fortunately, are still alive. Do you see a time when graduated from being the little kid to being the adult juicy with your parents?
It's a good question. I'm still struggling with that now. I think I'm still in that transition phase where no matter how old I get, I feel like everybody's always getting older. So I'm always in this young kid bucket and I never graduate out of it. Part of it may be the fact that I don't have any kids on my own, and I do present a bit young-hearted. Most people probably don't think I'm the age that I am. So I can see why just my dynamics with my family is probably still the little kid, or I'm still the oldest, but still the little kid kind of vibes. But I will say what helped me to, when you think about relationships and transcending, especially with your parents, I had to look at my parents differently. I think I looked at my parents very much in a box when I was younger. Like, my parents were my caregivers. They took care of me. I thought they knew all the answers. They had to get everything right. And the moment I realized as I got older that my parents are human too, and they're learning life, they're figuring out life just like we're figuring out life, then I was able to forgive them for my childhood traumas or the mistakes that I feel like they made in raising me. Although when you look back, you realize it wasn't really mistakes. They were just doing the best they could. They couldn't, they're still growing and developing. Especially you said you had kids. When you had kids at 40, right? 40, 50?
Right, well, adopted when I was in my mid-40s.
Mid-40s. So my parents had me when they're in their 20s.
Right.
Got married and much younger. So I can only imagine. If I'm in my 20s having kids, the shit that I was thinking and doing back then, and the way my mind operated, I think we all grow and develop. So once I realized my parents are humans, I treat them and think about them differently, because my mindset thinks one way and I shouldn't expect them to think the same way I think, because I've grown and developed and had different experiences that they had.
Right. Well, for me, that leaving, grew up as the youngest of four, although there's some other children that came along. And so I was always the baby. It's whatever. And as I grew up, I left the house at 19, went off, joined the military, met someone, got married. Parents weren't for that relationship.
Okay.
For me, I knew what I wanted and where I was going, and if you weren't going to accept that, then that's when you get back with me when you. So there was a little bit of I guess estrangement, but there was just like no contact for it. Or maybe more than a couple of years, I don't really. In my own mind, and I think there comes that point, with, like I said, at least for me, where I had to accept the fact that I am a grown-up. I make my decisions. I'm responsible for myself. I'm responsible for those that I form other relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't let anyone else determine how that's going to look or how that's going to be. So that's when I felt like I was grown, that I was.
I like it.
And it comes with everyone at different times, and it can come with different things. And I think it's once you do that, and even if your parents don't still accept you as the grown-up that you are, as long as it's in your mind and it was in my mind, I was cool with it. and the issue wasn't mine anymore.
I got it. And I have to, let me give a little context to mine. So growing up, I was raised in like this very church environment, very much in the box. I was the oldest of two kids. Parents were 23 when they got married, 25 when they had me, 28 with my sister. And so I think we grew up in a beautiful situation. I think my parents did the best they could. They gave us amazing community, family, all that good jazz. But it was very much in a certain box. And as I started to grow up and realize that the lifestyle that I wanted to live, hey, I'm gay, was not in that box, is where I started to then suffer and realize, how do my parents treat and handle and nurture and develop me if I'm not aligning to the box that they currently live in? Now, I was fortunate enough that I didn't really start to act out on my attractions and all those things till I got to college. And because of that, and I used my grades and my education and my ability to want to be on my own to really drive my success and get money and graduate with degrees and get good jobs and all that good jazz. So it helped me kind of establish myself away from my parents so that I could live my life. But I can only imagine, being honest, if I were younger, if I wanted to attempt to do that, what their reaction would have been, what our situation would have been like right now. But I say all that to say, not that I think my parents are openly wide, my parents are just wide open, gay, we love you and embrace you. But I think they have grown and recognized that there's more to the way they thought about life when they were younger. And because of that, I think we have a better relationship now. Right. And like I said before, the whole concept of what we're doing now is questioning everything. And when you opened up the line to this, you said that sometimes people are going to want to think differently, and sometimes people are going to hear the truth and still want to think the same. Right. And once I realized that my parents may or may not want to think outside of the box, and they may want to live in the comforts of that box, I had to be okay with that. And once I became okay with that, our relationship got better. I was trying to force them to be something they weren't. Right. Just like I didn't want them to force me to be something I wasn't. So it's the two-way street. It's a two-way street.
And it becomes a different thing. Like you mentioned, you delayed some of your explorations, at least sexually, till you got in college. Yeah. Things are different when you live in someone else's house.
Much different.
So whether you're a grown person living with your parents, and listen to what I'm saying, as a grown person living with your parents, or being a grown person and your parents live with you. So, because they kind of call us like this, you get in like the sandwich years, yeah, where you might still have kids, and then your parents are getting older, yeah, and they might need, some health support or whatever else, so they may come and live with you, and then that changes a whole bunch of dynamics as well. And the roles, it's not a role reversal, it's learning how to share your life and space, correct, with another grown adult who is your parent and who has more experience than you. You own a house and you're paying the bill, so we'll talk about that in another show.
I cannot wait for those years. I cannot wait. I'm giving everything they gave me. I'm giving them right back to them. All in fun and jest, but
he will find out that you can't do that. He thinks that. He'll question that one.
I will question that.
Okay, so we talked about love relationships. We talked about family relationships. We're going to end this conversation on relationships. I was going to do friends, but I think work related. I mentioned I was married when I was young. I met that person at work.
Interesting. Okay.
Do you see the work type environment as a place to go fishing for that spouse?
Fishing is a strong word. Because fishing to me sounds, it's intent. You've already, you woke up that morning with all, saying, I'm going to go find something in this environment. I would say I look at every single environment that I step in outside of my house as an environment to meet my future person. I can meet, and this is the hopeless romantic in me, I think I can meet my person at H-E-B, at the grocery store, walking into the mail post office, at the dog place when I drop my dog off, at church, wherever it may be. So definitely I think work is an environment where you can do so, especially since it's a place where you spend so much of your time, most likely around people that you have some things in common with. You guys are equally yoked. Hopefully everybody got paychecks coming in. So I don't see why not.
Have you ever?
I have. A couple of times.
And you said you're single, so when that ended, how was things at work?
Well, things, luckily, they weren't as they weren't closely adjacent to me in a line of, so I'd have to see them every single day. But I'll tell you a story. There was one person I met in particular at my current job. And we were just kind of like messaging on like the employees, channels or whatever like that. Very innocent. I think I reached out to ask about tennis, and it just kind of grew into a conversation. And I didn't even know if this person was, in the same likeness as me in terms of liking men as well. And so we just kind of just kept going and just finally met in person at the cafeteria. It was a very attractive guy, but quickly realized after you get to a point where they were very comfortable online having conversations, but when it got to face and meeting in person and actually dating, quote unquote, they just weren't secure enough in their life. So, and I think that was more of where they were with themselves and younger and blah, blah, blah. So my issue has always been less about where I meet the people at and just, are you in the right mindset and capacity to even take on that direction? It does get hard though, because I did run into this person like 2 days ago in the cafeteria, and you just, these random, you never know what to say. Like, I haven't seen you in 6 months. I honestly don't remember their name, which is bad. I do not remember their name. It is bad.
Did you go on dates?
A couple, but this is the Virgo in me. Once you out of sight, out of mind. Once I knew it was a done deal, it was a done deal. And literally, I forgot their name. So I was looking for the badge when they had it on. They did have it on.
Now, folks,
I'm bad.
It's one thing to have someone, but he works with the person.
I work.
And he's forgotten their name.
It's a lot of people at my job.
I'm bad with names, so I'm not going to be too hard on you.
Okay.
But
how was it when you met? When y'all divorced, were y'all still working together?
no.
Okay.
No. We met. We were both in the military.
Okay.
We were assigned in a small unit. There were maybe, I think, 100 people
Okay.
in the unit. And we were both there for a year. And people started kind of matching up.
Okay.
So that is how we met. And so we spent a lot of time together.
I got you.
And so it wasn't too bad. Now I was in the military. We were both of the same rank. So there wasn't any problems with, too high of a rank or too low of a rank. And then shortly after we transitioned to a different base, she left the military. So
I got you.
we had no.
I got you. See, and I always struggle with situations like that. Like, I think it's less about the work, but if you're working in certain confines, like say for instance, my first job out of college, I was a consultant, so I traveled a whole lot. So I felt like if I met another consultant who also traveled, our connection was more circumstantial than, we were just always gone from home. We're always in the same place. We got money to spend because somebody else is paying for it. So I've always been nervous about finding love, or at least, letting love extend outside of the circumstantial environment. What do we really have here? Is it just the fact that we're in the military and we're in these confined environments, but when we get back home and we have open space, do we even like each other after that? I like to see all the seasons before we go down the certain route.
Well, I think from the time I met my ex-wife to the time we got married was maybe 6 months. So that was a little speedy.
I mean,
So-
I'm nothing wrong with speed either.
And because we were at a remote assignment, it wasn't like we could avoid each other. So we were pretty much tied together.
Gotcha.
From
Gotcha.
that. So I don't really recommend it. So
You don't recommend it?
I don't recommend it. That's something I questioned and thought about. Give yourself a year, 2 years together. Think about it.
Before, you don't recommend dating somebody from work or going so quickly?
So quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not too good.
And I will say this too. I think similar if you're living in a different city with someone, and you say after a year or two, if this is real, we're going to move in together. Depending on the work situation, I can possibly see that as well. If we had, let's say, depending on your job, if you're just if you're just an HR business partner or something, could you be an HR BP somewhere else? Do we have to work in the same place? That may make things a little bit easier, less kind of, especially if there's a reporting or just an adjacency to the role, that can be a little tricky, but.
All right. Well, I heard the magical tones, which means this episode's just about calling to an end. So
I got to question that. Are you sure?
sure.
I won't question. I won't
It's
question it.
no,
we got more episodes to come.
We're here.
What does time mean? Why do we hold ourselves to a time constraint? If the conversation is there, do we stop it?
Well, YouTube happens to like you to wrap things up because people don't want to watch a video that's going on for an hour and a half. Watch multiple ones and enjoy them. That's a short answer.
There we go. I take it. Received.
So, well, we talked about relationships today. So whether you're in a relationship with a loving spouse and you're wanting to cohabitate, go for it. But before you actually do that, question it. Is that really what you need to make you happy? Know yourself. And if it's not, maybe don't do it. And when you've got family members, which you can't avoid, think about that too. There might be times to say, I'm going to cool it with you for a little while, even though they're family. But there may be times when you can reunite, or that it's just a good time from beginning to end. And when you're at work, be careful who you're dating. Some people will forget your names.
Question all relationships.
So everyone, I'm the old man,
I'm Juicy.
and we're out. Remember, question everything.